morning, Facebook. Welcome to our live today. Today we are going to be featuring books that are read it before you watch it. So all the books that we're going to talk about today are either books that have been turned into films or into miniseries that have been recently released or that are upcoming. And when I did research for this, I'm going to actually get myself a little more centered. There we go. When I did research for this one, I was super excited about some of the upcoming films and some of the upcoming shows for beloved books from my childhood even, and then are ones that we've had just as bestsellers or that are really, really intriguing. And I was super excited to find out that they were going to be turned into films. So the books that I'm holding up right now are kind of blowing up the charts. For those of you that have been binge watching the new Game of Thrones prequel series and the new Rings of Power series for Lord of the Rings, these are the books that inspired those series. So we've got George R. R. Martin's Fire and Blood, and we've got J.R.R. Tolkien's Unfinished Tales. Those are kind of the inspirations behind those super beloved series. So if you know anybody who likes those series, or if you yourself like those series, check out these books. You can tag them in the comments if you haven't already done so. Please like this video, share this video, tag people in the comments who would be interested in some of these books. We do actually have some of these books in used as well, at least for the time being. So make sure you check out our website on the link that I've put into the title of this video. It brings you to the list of all the books that we have in stock, and also ones that we can order that are coming to a screen near you pretty soon. So I'm going to start off by talking about a few books that have been recently, or that have been turned into films or shows that have been recently released, some of them even as recent as yesterday. And then I'm going to move into some upcoming releases. So without further ado, let's get started with some of the other books. So one of the most popular, I would say, films of this summer, or most widely touted films of the summer, also came with a book that I absolutely adored. And I haven't seen the movie yet because I loved the book so much, and I'm so scared that they won't do it justice. And so one of those that was so well recognized over the summer was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So we do have the book in stock. It's been one that's been really hard for us to keep on the shelves. I know I've talked about it before, but just as a brief synopsis, this is a story about a young girl who's kind of grown up all on her own in the marshes of the South, and she has been accused of a terrible, terrible crime. And so this book goes back and forth between her growing up years and then present tense, or present day, excuse me, quote unquote present day, to determine whether or not she was at fault or if it was just the community pinning it on her. It also deals with first love, survival, family. It's got a lot of themes. This has a little bit for everybody. It's got the murder mystery aspect of it too. So it's just a fantastic book all around. Highly recommend. If you haven't picked up Where the Crawdads Sing, make sure you check that out. Another film that was recently released, and I think I've also talked about this book once or twice previously, because we've had a lot of people who have come in and they've read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which has not been made into a film yet. My guess is that with its recent rise in popularity, you'll see a coming to a theaters near you or coming to a streaming site near you in the future for that title specifically. But if you haven't checked out Joyce Carol Oates' Blonde, it's been around for 20 years, the 20th anniversary edition, but the film was just released on Netflix starring Ana de Armas, and so it not reimagines or retells, I'm not sure exactly, I don't know enough about Marilyn Monroe's life to know whether it's a reimagination or retelling, rescope, but it's definitely a fiction, realistic fiction, historical fiction novel. We do have a copy here in store, so if you liked that film, or if you know anybody who did like that film, or who likes Marilyn Monroe, you should check out Joyce Carol Oates' novel Blonde. Couple of other books that have been difficult for us to keep on our shelves because of a series that was just released, and one is because this author has been just rising up the charts, and they just, I think it was yesterday or it's tonight, I'm not sure, the film for this next book, or one of the next books, was recently released. So one of the books that has been flying off of our shelves, and people have been requesting it because they've watched the series, with the guy, and I don't remember. Someone's going to be very angry with me. He played the Amazing Spider-Man. That guy, Andrew something him. He's in this movie. So this is John Krakauer's Under the Banner of Heaven, which is also subtitled A Story of Violent Faith. This is actually based on true events, and it is set within the Mormon fundamentalist colonies that the author had some contact with, and some of his experiences with that, specifically with the scandals that occurred related to violence against some women within one of the colonies. So, highly encourage you to check out Under the Banner of Heaven if you've not already done so, or if you have watched the series or know somebody who's watched the series, check out this book. Refresh and see if there's any comments, but I don't think there are any. None. Okay. So this book, I didn't realize how recently it was released. Like I said, it was either released last night and had to go up against Hocus Pocus, which sorry for it if that's what it had to go against, or it's being released today/tonight. I can't remember. But it is Grady Hendrix's My Best Friend's Exorcism. And no, this is not a used copy. No, this is not a VHS, though it looks kind of like it, right? It is meant to give off all of those 80s type vibes. It gives me lots of Stranger Things vibes. So if you know anybody who liked Stranger Things, and who's looking for something else to read/watch, encourage them to check this out. So this is set once again like in the 80s. It's kind of a takeoff of the old school horror and slasher films and paranormal films. And so it's about two girls, Abby and Gretchen. They've been best friends for forever. And then Gretchen starts to act a little bit different, and things just happen around her that are pretty strange pretty recently. And so then her friend Abby tries to figure out, what's going on, and then they start discovering that it's not just, teenage hormones or anything to that effect. There's a little bit more sinister of things that are occurring within there. The movie is rated or not rated, but it's qualified as a horror/comedy, so there is some funny bits to it. But I highly encourage you to check out My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. If you've not already done so, yeah, Grady Hendrix, there is his name. I was going to say it's there somewhere. I am reading one of his other books right now, and I'm liking it more than I thought I would, because Gail's not really a horror reader person, but I might check this out if this other book that I'm reading still keeps my interest throughout. A couple of other books that have been pretty difficult for us to keep on our shelves because people have watched the series. I know that at least one's on Netflix. Both of them might be on Netflix. And so then they just want to read the book that goes along with it. And they've both been out for a little bit. So one of them that we could not keep on the shelf for forever this summer was ironically The Summer That I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. She also wrote the To All the Boys I Loved Before series as well, so anybody who liked those. If you've not watched this movie or checked out this book, highly encourage you to check it out. There are 3 books in this series, and I've not watched the movie nor read the book, so I don't know where things leave off. But if you're looking for more, or if you're looking for more things to read, check out this book, or check out the other books in the series to see where things might lead should they continue on with producing more films and TV. I think it's a film, if I recall correctly. Films about this series. Another one that's been flying off of our shelves is the graphic novel Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So this one, I've not watched the show. I didn't really know much about it, and I just found out actually a week and a half ago that it was a show before. I just hadn't realized. I just had a bunch of people coming in asking for Heartstopper. But this is a graphic novel. So it's got the pictures, right? And it is about 2 boys at an all-boys school that don't really have a ton in common, but they start having to work together and they start to form a friendship and potentially something more. So there are several books in the series. I think there's 4. I think, not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me. There's at least 3. But if you are interested in finding out what inspired the show, or maybe getting ahead in the show, check out the Heartstopper graphic novels by Alice Oseman. All right, so those were all the books that I pulled from our store that we have, or we have other ones, but I couldn't find them this morning, or our computer, long story short, computer system is updating because it's the first day of the month and it was making everything run slowly, so I had to go off of what I could remember and where I could find those books. So we have copies of The Greatest Beer Run Ever, which is a movie starring Zac Efron and is based on true events about a man taking beer over to, or smuggling beer over to troops in Vietnam. I just don't know where it is in our store and I couldn't look it up because our computer system, like I said, was being pretty particular and pretty finicky this morning. But we do have copies of that, and that's been something that we've been selling quite frequently. People have been asking because it is Zac Efron, who I cannot get over. He's still Troy Bolton in my head. He will never be anything but Troy Bolton. Anyway, now we're going to move on to books that are going to be movies or film series, and so their release date varies. I've not put them in release date order, but I put them kind of by the genre. And so one I'm super excited about, I already mentioned this author previously, the author of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She wrote a follow-up book that also blew up the charts as well a couple of years ago, Daisy Jones and the Six, which is loosely inspired by, I want to say it's loosely inspired by Stevie Nicks' experiences with Fleetwood Mac, I want to say, but it is not the same thing. But I've also been told that this book is a great follow-up if you already read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is a good one to follow up with because you'll see a lot of crossover between characters' names and themes. And I've heard that I've only read Evelyn Hugo. I've not read the other ones yet. This one's on my list to read basically once I finish up with the Grady Hendrix book. But I've heard that this is the one to read next because it's kind of chronological, I guess you would say. But so this is about in the late 60s, a young girl who starts touring with a band, and all of the things that she experiences while she's going through this touring, all of the great things, all the terrible things, and all the heartbreak and dealing with her past as well. So if you like historical fiction, if you like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or if you're just looking forward to getting a little bit of an idea of what the movie is going to be about, highly encourage you to check out Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is a book that's been around for a long time. It's what I consider a classic, but it is being turned into, I want to say it's being turned into a musical. That's what I think I read, and I kind of raised my eyebrows about that because it's already been a film before, back probably pre my existence. But it's going to be a musical, I believe. And so I found Alice Walker's The Color Purple. This is also a historical fiction type book. It is set a little bit earlier than Daisy Jones and the Six. It's set in the 1920s, or sorry, in the early 20th century in Georgia. So it's got a pair of sisters. It's got Celie and Nettie, who write letters to one another, and they're just keeping in touch with one another and all the things that are going along in their lives, the struggles that they experience as women, but not just women, as also as Black women, as things are changing around them and how society treats them. So this is just a beautiful book. It does have a lot of sensitive topics, I would say. So if you've not picked this up and read it before, we're going to learn a little bit about it before taking a peek into it. But I highly encourage you to check out The Color Purple before it comes to a screen near you. So this book's already been getting a lot of buzz, just as a book itself. And then whenever I've mentioned to people who say that they love the book that it's going to turn into a movie, their eyes just absolutely light up. And so one of those that is a perennial bestseller for us is Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. This is a World War II and Holocaust era book. It is set during that time period, and it talks about a pair of sisters who have been separated by their experiences in France, in German-occupied France, and it talks about what they experience while they're there, the trials that they overcome, and the things that they witness. It is just a beautiful book. Anybody that's ever read it has just absolutely raved about it, said it's one of their favorite books ever, and so we're very excited that it's going to be coming to a screen near us. So if you like historical fiction, know anybody who does, or know anybody who has read The Nightingale and doesn't know that it's going to be a film, I would highly encourage you to check out this book. So now I'm going to move into, I did some historical fiction that's going to be coming to a screen near you, and now we're going to move into a little bit of a little bit of nonfiction that's going to be dramatized, retelling the real events, but they're inspired by the things that were featured within the book. So one of those that's coming to a screen near you pretty soon is Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran. This has also been a book that's been a bestseller for us, even though it's been out for quite a while. And this is the kind of about the birth of the FBI and related to the Osage murders in Oklahoma. Because there are there's a lot of things that are related to the oil fields that were occurring there, and suddenly the people that were in Osage Nation in Oklahoma, um, suddenly people start to disappear slash are killed, and this is in the 1920s, yeah, in the 1920s 1930s era, and so the people that are there are trying to figure out what happened, who is doing this, what is the cause, and how to stop it. So if you have any interest in true crime, if you have any interest in just learning more about history and learning more about specifically about FBI type stuff and where things came from, highly encourage you to check out Killers of the Flower Moon before it comes to a screen near you. So another book that we have been continuously able to sell, and that I was very excited is going to be coming to a screen near us. Another true crime book that's coming to a screen near you pretty soon. And I've heard that Keanu Reeves, the great Keanu Reeves, is going to be part of this film. Is The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. This book kind of shot Eric Larson to fame as an author. He's written a whole bunch of other historical accounts of different events that have occurred, but this one is the one that still is his best selling. It is about a serial killer at the World's Fair in 1893, so pre 1900s. And so this is showcasing the World's Fair, what was going on at the time. And then the grisly murders that were suddenly occurring there, and who was the suspects, and how they were figuring out who did these things. So highly encourage you to check out The Devil in the White City if you've not already done so. It has moved up on my list, especially since I learned that it's going to be a film. And I have a few friends that have read it. They said it was very good, and it was not written in a way that was overly tedious. It was intriguing and interesting throughout. So check out The Devil in the White City before it hits the screen near you. For my sci-fi fans, I found that this book was going to be coming to Netflix soon. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a movie on Netflix. Don't quote me. It might be a show, but it's going to be coming to Netflix. And I am going to butcher this name because I've never actually heard it said. I was going to say Cixin Liu. I am not 100% sure if that is how it's pronounced. But The Three Body Problem is the title of the book. It's been translated by Ken Liu from its original language. I'm not sure what the original language is off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be able to read it either way. But this is a sci-fi book that has been a pretty good seller for us as well. It is alien based, and let me verify that this is, yeah. So it's set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution. The military decides that they want to try to make contact with any outside life forms outside of the Earth's atmosphere, and then they succeed. And so this book deals with what they learn about those that are the intelligent life that's beyond the world's scope, and then also the issues that occur because of their contact with this other life form. So if you know anybody who likes this book, let them know that it's coming to Netflix pretty soon. Or if that's something that is intriguing to you, if you like sci-fi, if you like alien encounters, or if you just want to get a heads up on what's going to be coming up, check out The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu, I think is how you say it. I was very excited to find out that this was actually going to be a film, because this is a book and an author that we have had quite a bit of contact with over the years. The book is actually set in I believe it's set kind of in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, which is kind of neat. For those of you that don't know, we are in downtown Marshall, Michigan. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of this because I was just so excited to talk about the books that we've got here. But this author we've had some like Zoom chats with, and we've been a forefront of selling a lot of her books. So we've got The Marsh King's Daughter by Karen Dion. If you liked Where the Crawdads Sing, highly encourage you to snag this book. I'm pretty sure when I was doing my research for this that Daisy Ridley, um, she played Rey in the last three Star Wars movies, is going to be in this film, and I think it's going to be released next year if I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. So the gist of this book is that a girl has been living with her mother and with her father in a very remote setting in a marsh, and she finds out one day that her father actually kidnapped her mother, and she is the product of that union. And so then she must determine what she is going to do. Is she going to stay loyal with the father that she's known forever? Is she going to escape? What must she do? So, highly encourage you to check out The Marsh King's Daughter if you've not read it, or if you like Where the Crawdads Sing, or if you like murders, or not murder mysteries, but if you like suspenseful thriller books, or if you just want to learn more about this book before it becomes a film, check this book out. So we are going to also move into talking about some books that are going to become films that are more geared towards young adults, um, towards elementary and middle school students, and then I've got one that kind of leans a little bit towards elementary students, but it just brings back all the nostalgia. Some of them bring back all of the nostalgia, guys. I'm super excited to talk about those ones. So one of the books that I discovered was going to be a film, and I believe it's Netflix. Not 100% sure. Do not quote me on that. Um, is Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis. So this is one that is set for teens, and it's going to be starring as Timothy Chalamet. I'm not sure how to say his name. I've only heard it said once, and I didn't realize what it was until after it had already been said. The guy who was in Dune, that guy, the guy who played the main dude in Dune, him. He's going to be in this film. So this is about a pair of young people, a pair of teenagers, who they go on kind of I was gonna say a trip with one another. They learn more about each other through this trip. They both have a lot of really dark and shocking things within their past, and they have to learn whether or not they can trust one another, and how they can support one another with those dark and terrible things that have occurred to them and that are occurring to them. So if you know of anybody who would be interested in this series or this show, or likes the topic of what I call tough stuff, where there's kind of the taboo topics um, that just intrigue people simply because it's something terrible and you want to learn more about it so you can react to it appropriately, I guess you would say. Check out Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis before it hits the screens. Another book that this one kind of crosses over between middle school and high school. I would say for those students in those reading areas. I know we've got a couple of people on staff who have read this series and absolutely adored it. But I was really excited to find out that The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani is going to be coming as a series to Netflix. This is the first book in the series. It's a book series as well. There are at least 3 books in the series. I have not read it myself. And they just released a prequel series as well that kind of gives the backstory of this school for good and evil. So this I would say is great for those who like Harry Potter as well because it's kind of got that academia type setting. So we've got 2 girls, Sophie and Agatha, they're best friends, and they go to the school for good and evil where they're trained to either be heroes or villains in a fairy tale. And suddenly they are put on opposite ends of that spectrum, right? Best friends who are suddenly now meant to be enemies. And so they have to determine, are they going to let their friendship survive that, or are they going to continue on with the paths that they have been thrust into? So this is the first book in the series. Highly encourage you to check out the book before it hits the screen. I think it comes out in about 2 weeks approximately. But this is great for anybody who likes Harry Potter, who likes Percy Jackson, who likes retellings, any of those kinds of topics. I'd encourage you to check out The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. So I know this book has already been made into a film before, and it's a very well beloved film. But this, I just realized, or I just not realized, I just found out this is coming to Netflix as a musical. As a musical. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to do that. So Roald Dahl's Matilda is coming to Netflix, as the cover proudly proclaims, but it's going to be a musical. So I'm interested to see how they do that, and to see, from the things that I've read, they're not trying to remake it. They're trying to reinvigorate interest in it, if that makes any sense. So for those that don't know the background of Matilda, this is, like I said, very well beloved Roald Dahl book. It's about a young girl who she is absolutely brilliant, but her family doesn't recognize that her family is not brilliant, and they keep trying to put her down. But she starts going to school, and while she's at school, she makes friends, and she also encounters some very interesting characters that do not necessarily make her life much easier. So if you like some of those overcoming type stories, if you like a little bit of, I wouldn't say it's fantasy, but it's definitely fictional. And just if you like whimsy, I would say whimsy and Roald Dahl's biting humor in his writing style. Check out Matilda, and definitely make a reread before it hits Netflix as a musical. All right, so the last book that I'm going to showcase for you guys today made me just go all super nostalgia. Matilda's already a nostalgia enough for many people. This one made me go super nostalgia when I found out it's going to be a film. So I pulled My Father's Dragon by Ruth Stiles Gannett. Yes. Gannett. It's a book that's been around for quite some time. It has been just capturing the hearts and minds and the imaginations of young readers everywhere. But this is about a young boy named Elmer, and when he moves, he ends up going to a mystical and magical island, and he's trying to save some of the creatures that are there. This book does have the illustrations in it as well. So it's not just the text, but this is an absolutely fabulous book for any kids that like adventure and that like magical and mystical things, and also learning more about yourself and becoming confident with yourself and the things that you are able to do. But just a beautiful, beautiful story, and I'm super excited to see it coming to a screen near all of us, right? So check out this book, and there's also others in the series too. We've got Elmer and the Dragon and the Dragons of Blueland are also part of the series. So if you've not read those other ones before the film comes out, highly encourage you to check those out, or just to reread the original in the series before it hits the screens. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's all that I have for you today. A couple of reminders about things that are going on in the store and that are going on in downtown Marshall, Michigan. And I'm going to go through my spiel that I forgot to do at the very beginning of this. We do sell both new and used books, and we also ship throughout the country as well. Continental US, we have local delivery options as well for orders over $35 pre-tax, and for anybody who is not local and would like things shipped, orders over $40 pre-tax also get free shipping too. We can also order books, both new and used. So if these books that you are interested in sell out, or if you're looking for a used copy and we don't have a copy in store, you can contact us, call us, email us, Facebook us, and we can look into finding some of those for you. So a couple of things that are going on in downtown Marshall. First off, kicked off last week, is Skeleton Fest, including the Where's Skelly scavenger hunt for kiddos. So if you haven't gotten a Where's Skelly scavenger hunt form, you can pick them up at our store, at other participating businesses, and you can see if you can find all of the skeletons and get registered for winning a prize within this. Yes. And this goes only through Halloween. So make sure that if you're looking to get on that, start that out. That kicks off right now. So make sure that you pick up one of those if you haven't already done so. The other thing that we've got going on in our store, which is not related to Skeleton Fest and all the cool skeletons happening on outside, but is related to Banned Book Week, which actually ended last week, if I recall correctly. Again, not this past week, the previous week. But we, as a bookstore, we support books that have been challenged, that have been banned, simply because we support the idea that it is very important for readers of all ages and interests to find out more stories about themselves, about others, because books are both doors, windows, and sliding glass doors to other knowledge and to other modes of understanding. And so to encourage all of our clients, all of our customers, and all of our community to read books that have been banned or challenged over the years in various communities, we have created the Banned Books Bingo Challenge. So if you are able to read in any fashion of bingo, so across this way, up and down this way, or even diagonal. If you're able to showcase that you've read 5 different banned books with this form, you can get registered to win a free banned book from our drawing. So highly encourage you to check this out if you've not already done so, and to learn a little bit more about our challenge on the back, and why books might be banned. If you've got questions about that, you can contact us via Facebook, you can email us, you can even give us a call, or even better, come in person and talk with us about banned books, why books have been banned, and what our challenge is all about. One other event that we've got coming up that I'm excited about in downtown Battle Creek, so not here in our Marshall location, we have the final night market of the season with the Battle Creek Farmers Market. That will be in Festival Market Square on October 14th. I think it's from 5 to 9, if I recall correctly. It's going to be family friendly. There will be games and activities, and then of course lots of really cool things so that you can use to support local businesses and local artisans. Highly encourage you to check it out if you've not already gone there. If not for all just seeing us, which would be fantastic. But also there's food trucks, guys. Food trucks are fantastic. But check that out before that's closed down into the chilly weather season, and start thinking about gifts for the holiday seasons that are coming up, right? Well, thanks so much, guys. That's all that I've got for you today. I hope that you have a great week, that you check out our website, that you check out our store, and we thank you so much for thinking of us and let us help you find a new story. Bye, guys.